What if I told you that losing focus could be more dangerous to your life than losing all your money? Would you believe me? I am Napoleon Hill, and I have learned that millions fail not due to lack of talent, but because they get distracted by trivial things while ignoring the feast of their own greatness. The modern world demands your attention. Social media, debts, empty promises. Yet, I will show you why your mind is your greatest asset, and how mastering this asset can transform every area of your life, even when everything around you seems determined to pull you away. When I speak of the sacred no, I do not mean an ordinary refusal. I mean a fortress you build around your attention, your time, and your energy. Every time you say yes out of fear, guilt, or immediate need, you are borrowing from your future to pay the anxiety of the present. How many times have you accepted a job that didn't fit you, a commitment that drained your will, or a favor that consumed your nights, just to avoid the uncomfortable feeling of saying no? How often did you do this out of fear of being without money, of losing social approval, or of appearing ungrateful? These are the chains that hold most people, and they can be broken with a single act of courage, refusing what destroys to protect what builds. I myself faced this crossroads. A financially tempting offer came my way, but it required me to compromise my principles, take on tasks that diverted me from my mission, and respond to a schedule that would turn me into someone else's instrument. In that moment, I felt panic. What if I lose money? What if I regret it? But I also felt something stronger, an inner voice saying, refuse, because your mind is worth more than any currency. I refused. I lost immediate gains, yes, and felt the squeeze of doubt, the pressure of scarcity. But over time, I gained something far greater, integrity and clarity. That brick, laid in the quiet act of a no, became the foundation for opportunities that were aligned, lasting, and in harmony with the purpose I had chosen. This is the nature of the sacred no. It cuts away the superfluous so that the essential can flourish. So how do you turn this principle into practice? First, define 3 non-negotiables, values or goals for which you will not trade your time or attention. Write them down now, 1 per line. What do you protect above all else? Family, integrity, professional mission, health? This exercise is more than symbolic. When your brain has clear boundaries, decisions come faster and are less painful. Before responding to any request, test yourself with 3 questions. 1. Does this align with my purpose? 2. How much time and energy will it require? And is the return worth it? 3. Does this pull me away from what is a priority this week? If the answer to any of these questions is no, say no. Practical, direct, effective. It is not arrogance. It is resource management. Need words to get started. Use short, firm scripts. Thank you for the invitation, but I cannot take this on right now. I would love to, but this is outside my current focus. I can help in another way, but I cannot commit to this. Thank you for the opportunity. At this time, it is not possible. These phrases prevent long explanations and leave no room for emotional manipulation. If you want to negotiate, set limits. I can do a smaller version in a few hours. This preserves your income without sacrificing your life. In the financial world, fear of losing income is a powerful objection. If this is your concern, create buffers, a minimal reserve, a temporary spending reduction plan, or ways to negotiate scope and price. A freelancer who always accepts low-paying jobs out of fear of an empty month can instead offer smaller packages with better conditions and refuse the rest. Notice, saying no to poorly paid work today prevents months of exhaustion and sets your reputation for better opportunities tomorrow. Protecting your focus also requires concrete tactics in daily life. Block time in your calendar for deep work. Treat it like unbreakable commitments. Set Do Not Disturb on your phone during these periods. Remove notifications that steal attention. If someone insists, respond politely but firmly. I am in a focus period. I can respond at X time. When you treat your time with the same seriousness as your bank account, you elevate attention to capital. There is also a psychological dimension, guilt. Many people feel guilty when saying no, especially with family or friends. To address this, practice reframing. Interpret saying no as a yes to your future, not a no to people. Repeat mentally. Saying no is saying yes to my purpose. Write this on a note to review when you waver. If guilt comes from finances, remember that sustainability, both psychological and material, depends on choosing wisely where to invest your energy. It is not a lack of care, it is wisdom in resource management. I also recommend a small ritual to test your firmness. Before accepting any new commitment, wait 24 hours. This space reduces impulsive decisions and allows you to evaluate the impact on sleep, finances, relationships, and progress toward your goals. Many opportunities appear urgent only because someone created pressure. Stepping back restores clarity. Do not ignore the digital environment. Constant access to others' demands turns small requests into a river that erodes your time. Uninstall or disable unnecessary notifications. Set daily windows to check emails and social media. Establish clear boundaries with people who tend to pass tasks to you. When you control the flow entering your mind, your focus capacity skyrockets. And now a practical, yet transformative challenge. The 7-day sacred No Challenge. Day 1. Identify 3 drains, people, tasks, or commitments that sap your energy. Habits that drain your energy, and why each one is harmful. On the second day, apply this method in at least one situation, even if it's just via message. On the third day, block 2 hours in your calendar for deep, focused work and activate Do Not Disturb mode. On the fourth day, negotiate a professional proposal, suggesting a reduced scope or a fair price. On the fifth day, practice waiting 24 hours before accepting anything new. On the sixth day, record feelings of guilt, write down what arises, then restructure it with a sentence. Saying no is saying yes to my purpose. On the seventh day, evaluate your gains. How much time have you reclaimed? How has your mood changed? How has your sense of control shifted? If you wish, make a public commitment. Write a short sentence in the comments or for yourself that reminds you of this pact. Finally, remember the example I always cite. There are leaders of our era who attribute their focus to rejecting hundreds of good ideas in order to embrace only a few essential ones. This ability to prioritize was decisive in getting them to where they are today. You too can cultivate this skill, starting now with a conscious no. Protect your mind, as it is the only capital that cannot be recovered once lost. When you learn to refuse with dignity, you make space for what truly works in your favor. And that, my friend, is the first step toward a life built with intention, not by accident. When I think about the power of small conscious actions, I see millions of people abandoning their dreams because they believe they need a sudden stroke of luck or a grand turning point to transform their lives. This is one of the biggest lies ever told. The truth, which I have observed over decades of study and collected stories, is that success rarely comes with fanfare. It grows quietly, nourished by the subtle and seemingly insignificant habits you repeat when no one is watching. How many times have you started something with excitement, an online course, an exercise routine, a financial plan, and abandoned it when immediate results didn't appear? This is a common human pattern. But ask yourself, does the seed of a giant tree bear fruit on the day it is planted? Or does it remain invisible, working beneath the surface while it seems that nothing is happening? I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I faced such severe financial difficulties that I had to start from scratch more than once. Instead of waiting for a miracle, I committed to a simple habit: writing down and reviewing my goals every morning, even when it seemed pointless. It seemed too small to make a difference. But over the months, this practice shaped my mind, gave me direction, and courage to act when opportunities arose. This quiet habit guided me to some of the greatest victories of my life. You may underestimate the power of these small repetitions, because the world has convinced you that only grand gestures matter. Consider the example of Thomas Edison, a man I deeply admire. He did not change the world with a single flash of brilliance, but through thousands of small, disciplined experiments. Each failure was a small conscious act, a seed that, combined with others, created a revolution. Now compare this to public figures who had initial success, but did not maintain consistent habits. Their careers collapsed because the daily foundation was missing. This is the difference between fleeting glory and lasting legacy. Look at your own life. How many things do you do automatically? Brushing your teeth, opening your phone, driving to work, without awareness. Imagine if each of these actions became a declaration of intention. Imagine starting your day with gratitude instead of complaints. Imagine washing the dishes while thinking about opportunities to come, instead of dwelling on problems. This subtle shift of attention transforms your inner state, and your inner state shapes your choices, which in turn determine your destiny. It is no exaggeration. Modern studies in positive psychology show that small intentional habits, like recording daily gratitude or dedicating 10 minutes to reading, significantly increase well-being and emotional resilience. Many people avoid creating habits because they fear initial discomfort or think they need constant motivation. But I assert, motivation is unstable, whereas discipline is reliable. Do not wait to feel inspired to act. Choose a small practice today. Study 15 minutes of financial education. Save 2% of your income. Walk around the block. Review your goals before sleeping. And repeat it, even when it seems insignificant. This is how a new identity is forged. The secret is not to do everything at once, but to build step by step. Ask yourself now, which small decisions in your day are sabotaging your future? Is it the expensive daily coffee that could be invested? The 5 minutes of procrastination that turn into an hour on social media? The choice to avoid a difficult conversation, delaying the growth of a relationship? Every unconscious act exacts high interest. But every small conscious gesture, however modest, accumulates compound interest in your favor. Remember, time is like fertile soil. What you plant in it, thoughts, attitudes, habits, you will eventually harvest. Choosing not to plant is also a choice, but weeds grow on their own. If you want proof of the impact of these actions, try a simple experiment. For the next 21 days, choose just one small conscious habit to practice. It could be waking up 10 minutes earlier to plan your day, writing down 3 things you are grateful for, or turning off notifications during an hour of deep work. Observe the effect on your mental clarity, productivity, and inner peace. It is nearly impossible not to feel the difference after 3 weeks. Looking back, I realized that it was not the big moments that changed my life. It was not the great turning points that shaped my journey, but the small actions to which I remained faithful, even when no one was watching. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment or a stroke of luck. The secret to maintaining focus when everything distracts is this: transform the ordinary into the extraordinary through intention. If you do this, one day you will wake up in the midst of a life that feels like a miracle, and you will realize it was neither luck nor magic. It was the small seeds of discipline, planted one by one, that blossomed into greatness. Inner silence is a power that few dare to cultivate, because it requires courage to face one's own truth. Most people flee from silence as they would from a mirror, afraid to see what lies behind the noise. I learned, in moments of despair and uncertainty, that it is precisely in that space of stillness that the clearest answers emerge. During the Great Depression, While crowds despaired and newspapers screamed tragedy, I withdrew alone for a walk in nature. The cold wind hit my face, and there was no ready plan nor promises of rescue. But in that harsh silence, I heard an inner voice whisper, "Keep going. The seeds are germinating, even if you do not see them." It was there, without applause or guarantees, that ideas and strategies arose that would help thousands rebuild their lives and fortunes. Had I sought counsel only in the noise of men, I would have given up. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in complete silence, without scrolling a screen, listening to music, or seeking someone's opinion? The modern mind feeds on noise, social media, notifications, comparisons. Yet each of these distractions weakens your ability to hear your own intuition. It is in silence that you perceive patterns that were invisible. It is in silence that simple solutions, those that have always been within reach, reveal themselves. Jesus withdrew to the desert not to escape, but to strengthen himself. He knew that a quiet mind is a direct channel to wisdom. Recent neuroscience studies show that moments of silence activate areas of the brain linked to creativity and memory, while also lowering cortisol levels, the stress hormone. This means biologically that when you disconnect from the noise, you are not merely resting. You are literally reconfiguring your brain for better decisions and greater resilience. It is no coincidence that some of the greatest inventions and works of art were born after periods of silent reflection. Think of great leaders who faced monumental crises. Many report that their best ideas emerged during solitary walks, silent retreats, or early morning meditations. But I know what you might be thinking. What if I stop, and the silence reveals truths I do not want to see? What if it shows that I am living a life that is not mine? This is exactly why you should not run from it. The pain of facing the truth is temporary. The suffering of ignoring it can last a lifetime. When you allow silence to expose what is not working, the job that no longer makes sense, the relationship that has lost its authenticity, the habits that keep you from your potential, you put yourself in a position to change. And change requires clarity, not more noise. I want to propose a small but powerful challenge. During this week, set aside 5 minutes each day for complete silence. Turn off your phone, step away from people, and close your eyes. Breathe deeply, and simply observe your thoughts as clouds pass across the sky. Do not judge them, do not fight them, just listen. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Your brain will crave distraction. It will want to escape. But if you persist, an inner space will begin to open, a calm that depends on nothing external. In that space, valuable insights emerge. Perhaps an idea to solve an old problem, perhaps the awareness of a change you have been postponing, or perhaps just peace, and that alone is a treasure. Remember, the world will try to convince you that you must always be busy, always connected, always consuming information. Yet the greatest breakthroughs I have witnessed, in my life and in the lives of others, occurred when someone dared to stop, remain still, and listen. Silence is not empty, it is full of direction. And when you learn to trust that place, no external criticism, passing crisis, or comparison can steal your focus. Because when everything around you screams, the one who masters the silence within remains unshakable. This is the secret that separates those who merely react to the world from those who transform it. Discipline is the invisible bridge that connects where you are today to the destiny you were born for. It is not glamorous, rarely applauded, and often lonely, but it is in it that true strength resides. Most people wait for motivation to act, as if it were a magical fuel that will appear out of nowhere. But motivation is like the wind. Today it blows strong, tomorrow it disappears. Discipline, on the other hand, is like the deep bed of a river. It continues to flow, even when the surface appears dry. How many times have you started a project full of energy, only to abandon it when the initial excitement faded? How many times have you told yourself, I'll do it when I feel inspired. Only to watch days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and nothing change. This is the trap that ensnares millions. They confuse enthusiasm with commitment. I saw this truth with my own eyes when working with promising entrepreneurs who seemed to have it all: talent, connections, brilliant ideas. But some of them relied solely on the flame of excitement. When the market cooled, criticism came, or difficulties multiplied, they abandoned ship. Their fortunes evaporated because they lacked discipline. The daily foundation of discipline. On the other hand, I have met ordinary people who had neither great wealth nor extraordinary luck, yet they achieved remarkable accomplishments. Their secret was simple. They created small rituals and maintained them consistently, even when no one could immediately see the results. It was these quietly repeated, seemingly insignificant habits that built their personal empires. I myself have gone through dark days when nothing seemed to work. There were moments when I wrote and revised my thoughts without knowing if anyone would ever read them. I studied the principles of success, while the world around me insisted there was no hope. And it was precisely on those days, without applause or guarantees, that discipline proved its true value. Discipline does not wait for ideal conditions, it creates them. When you get up even without motivation, when you complete a small but necessary task, you are sending a clear message to the universe. I trust the process. It is like planting seeds in the middle of winter, fully confident that spring will come. You can apply this today. Choose a small ritual that aligns with the life you want to build. It could be studying 15 minutes of financial education before bed. It could be writing 3 lines about your goals every morning. Or it could be walking for 10 minutes to clear your mind. The size of the action matters less than its consistency. Commit to repeating this habit for 30 days, regardless of how you feel. Do not wait for motivation to act. Let the action generate motivation. Modern behavioral psychology studies confirm that consistent repetition forms neural pathways that make behavior almost automatic. What requires effort today will become a natural part of your identity tomorrow. You may fear that discipline will make your life rigid or take away your freedom. But observe, true freedom arises from self-control. An undisciplined mind is a slave to fleeting impulses, the desires of others, and constant distractions. Discipline, on the other hand, frees you from external chaos. When you master your habits, you no longer need to worry about every small decision. Your life begins to move in the right direction almost instinctively. It is not rigidity. It is the ability to choose consciously rather than react automatically. Ask yourself, in which areas are you still waiting for the perfect moment to act? Health? Finances? Career? How many of your dreams are stuck because you are waiting to feel motivated before taking the first step? The perfect moment will not come. And every day lost is like removing a brick from the bridge that leads to your destiny. Start today with what you have where you are. Make a pact with yourself. I will not rely on my mood or circumstances to build my life. I will rely on discipline. And when, in a few months, you look back and realize how far you have come, despite distractions, criticisms, and setbacks, you will understand that it was not luck, not coincidence, not a flash of inspiration. It was discipline, that silent bridge that few see, yet it supports your entire future. The most important point I want you to take with you is simple yet powerful. Your focus is the most valuable asset you have. It builds or destroys dreams, strengthens or weakens your life. Once you learn to protect your attention, say no to what distracts you, and act with discipline, everything around you begins to realign. Never underestimate the power of a single well-directed thought or a conscious decision made today. Every action you take, no matter how small, is a seed for the future you desire. And if this insight has stirred something within you, do not stop here. Another video is already appearing, ready to help you take the next step on this journey to become 1% better than you are today. I thank you for being here with me, for entrusting your time and attention to this message. I will see you in the next video, where together we will continue to build the life you deserve.